Boy walks 2 hours to school every day. Teacher follows him and… For 14-year-old Jordan Johnson, walking the 6 miles to school had been no big deal. He'd been doing it for the past 6 months, ever since their family car got repossessed. There was nothing he could do since his parents always preached to him to get to school no matter what, and that's exactly what Jordan would do. The Johnson family had been going through some tough times of late, and it resulted them in losing the one thing they needed the most, the family car. Now, Jordan's parents had to take several buses to get to and from work, and it caused so much stress for everybody in the family. Jordan hated that his family was in this situation. Now that his parents and 2 other siblings who were in high school took the bus, there wasn't always enough money to go around. Therefore, Jordan ended up walking to school because his parents couldn't afford for all of them to take the bus. Jordan didn't mind. He liked walking through the neighborhoods, but he knew that the walk to school was a long one. Missouri had some harsh winters, and Jordan prayed that his family would be able to get the car back before then. He was dreading having to walk through the rain and snow. But in the end, he had no other choice. His parents were very strict when it came to his and his siblings' education, and they wanted them all to graduate high school. They always talked about how not many family members could make it to graduation. Their circumstances always got the better of them. But Jordan's father, Michael, only wanted the best for his children and vowed to watch them walk on the stage to receive their diplomas. And with Jordan being their only son, he had high hopes for him. One morning, Jordan arrived particularly late to school. His teacher, Mr. Harris, could see that he was panting and out of breath. It looked like he'd been running. Jordan was a great student and never missed a day, so when Mr. Harris noticed his empty seat, he became worried. But he was relieved when Jordan eventually burst through the classroom door. "Jordan, you okay? You're never late." Jordan could catch his breath to give an answer, so Mr. Harris promptly handed him a glass of water. As soon as he was composed, he replied, "I missed my bus, sir, so I had to run all the way here. Won't happen again, sir," Jordan promised. Mr. Harris knew how dedicated Jordan was, and he took his word for it, but somehow something at the back of his mind told him something was wrong. Jordan looked all right, and he seemed to be doing well, but that would soon change when he noticed how Jordan's focus and grades had begun slipping. Mr. Harris knew how important an education was, especially in the low to middle-income families in the community. He himself grew up in such a household, and the only way he got out was by educating himself and finishing school. He knew he wanted to become a teacher to help other kids who were facing the same issues he did. As the days went by, Mr. Harris couldn't shake off the nagging feeling of concern for Jordan. He observed the once vibrant student gradually losing his enthusiasm for learning. Jordan's assignments started to lack his usual effort, and his test scores plummeted. Mr. Harris decided it was time to take action. Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story. He scheduled a meeting with Jordan's parents, hoping to uncover the reason behind their son's sudden decline in academic performance. The meeting day arrived, and Mr. Harris sat across from Jordan's parents, Michael and Anna Mae Johnson, in the school's conference room. Nervously, they exchanged greetings, their worried expressions mirroring Mr. Harris's concerns. "Thank you for taking the time to meet with me," Mr. Harris began. "I've noticed that Jordan's grades have been dropping recently, and I wanted to discuss it with you." Michael and Anna Mae exchanged glances, their faces filled with the weight of their struggles. "We've been going through some tough times lately," Michael admitted. "We lost our car a few months ago, and it's been challenging for the whole family." As the conversation continued, Michael and Anna Mae shared the details of their financial difficulties. They explained how their limited income made it impossible to afford transportation for the entire family, forcing Jordan to walk to school each day. Touched by their honesty and the love they had for their son's education, Mr. Harris felt a surge of determination to help the Johnson family overcome this obstacle. He knew he couldn't change their circumstances entirely, but he could make a difference in Jordan's life. He wanted to do something for him to motivate him to continue coming to school. After the meeting, Mr. Harris couldn't stop thinking about Jordan's long walks to school and the toll it was taking on his academic performance. That night, a sudden hunch struck him as he lay awake in bed. Maybe, he wondered, there's something more I can do to support Jordan and his family. Mr. Harris had a plan up his sleeve. The following day, Mr. Harris spent hours researching possible solutions to alleviate the Johnson family's transportation burden. He reached out to local community organizations seeking assistance in providing Jordan with a bicycle, hoping it would make his daily commute easier. He hoped that this would motivate Jordan to keep going. Through his efforts, Mr. Harris discovered a charity that donated bicycles to underprivileged students. Filled with hope, he submitted an application on behalf of Jordan. He detailed the family situation and the impact it had on the boy's education. He hoped they'd be able to help him in the family's plight. It was the least he could do for them. Days turned into weeks, and just as Mr. Harris was starting to lose hope, he received a call from the charity. They informed him that a generous donor had read Jordan's story and was deeply moved by his determination. Mr. Harris was overjoyed there was someone willing to help his cause. Now he could finally help Jordan and his family. The donor, who wished to remain anonymous, had decided not only to provide Jordan with a brand new bicycle, but also contribute towards purchasing a reliable minivan for the Johnson family. Mr. Harrison couldn't believe the person's generosity. He wished he could thank him in person and tell him what this all meant to him and the Johnson family. Mr. Harris could hardly contain his excitement. He contacted Jordan's parents and invited them to a meeting at the school. With a twinkle in his eye, he shared the incredible news about the donation, emphasizing the positive impact it would have on Jordan's daily journey to school. The Johnsons couldn't believe that Mr. Harris would go to so much trouble for their son. They were beyond grateful. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Michael and Anna Mae could hardly believe their ears. Tears streamed down their faces as they realized the incredible support they were receiving. They'd never received this amount of help from anyone before, and it truly meant the world to them. They were happy to know that Mr. Harris was looking out for Jordan. On a sunny afternoon, Mr. Harris organized a special assembly for the entire school to witness the life-changing surprise. Students filled the auditorium with whispers of anticipation, unaware of the secret that awaited them. As Jordan entered the stage accompanied by Mr. Harris, he noticed his parents seating in the front row, their eyes brimming with emotion. The assembly fell silent as Mr. Harris took the microphone. "Students," Mr. Harris began, his voice filled with pride, "today we gather to celebrate a remarkable young man who's shown incredible resilience in the face of adversity." He proceeded to share Jordan's story, emphasizing his determination to overcome obstacles and pursue his education no matter the circumstances. Jordan stood there in disbelief. He couldn't believe what was happening. The auditorium erupted with applause, and the students' admiration for Jordan filled the room. Amidst the cheers and admiration, Mr. Harris turned his attention toward Jordan's parents, inviting them to join him on stage. With gratitude and joy in their eyes, Michael and Anna Mae rose from their seats and stood beside their son, their hearts brimming with appreciation for the community's support. Then it was time for the moment they had all been waiting for. With a dramatic flourish, Mr. Harris unveiled a brand new bicycle glistening in the spotlight. The audience erupted into cheers and applause, congratulating Jordan on his well-deserved gift. Jordan covered his face. He was overwhelmed with emotion. He had no idea that there were so many people out there rooting for him. Jordan approached the bicycle, running his hand along its shiny frame. He knew that this gift would change his daily routine and allow him to focus more on his studies. Mr. Harris stepped forward and handed Jordan a set of keys, his smile stretching across his face. "But that's not all," he announced. "Thanks to a generous donor, your family will also be receiving a minivan to help with transportation." The audience gasped in astonishment, and Jordan's parents broke down in tears, their gratitude overflowing. They hugged each other tightly, and the weight of their struggles momentarily lifted. Together, the Johnson family and the entire school community celebrated the power of compassion and generosity. They were so thankful to Mr. Harris for everything that he'd done for their family. In the weeks that followed, Jordan's life transformed. With his new bicycle, he arrived at school with ease, his face beaming with joy. He'd regained his focus and determination, his grades steadily improving once again. Meanwhile, the Johnson family's new minivan became a symbol of hope, relieving the stress of their daily commutes and allowing them to spend more quality time together.